Personally, I would have called it Deadpool Saves VR, or Deadpool Does VR, but what do I know?
My hatred for you burns with the heat of 10,000 unhinged Snyder fans on X.
G'day, chaps. It's I, Clumpature139. And I may be a few weeks late to the party, but as our good buddy DP always says, a good creator is never late nor early. He delivers his content exactly when he intends to. That's probably something he'd say, right?
Good to know shit craftsmanship is a universal language.
Either way, Deadpool VR. The next big MetaQuest exclusive superhero game that I have absolutely no obligation to play, but am going to anyway because it looked really friggin' fun. And that is the best way to describe this game. Just plain fun. Deadpool VR is pure, unfiltered chaos in the best way possible, and is some of the most fun I've had playing a game in a long time. Is it a perfect game? Hell no. But it is a much needed inclusion in the superhero VR gaming sphere that I can't wait to play again. As a quick disclaimer, this video will contain minor spoilers for the story and gameplay structure, but I'll give a big flashing warning for major stuff so you can skip past it if you want. But if you want to go into this game with absolute 100% blindness, I'd say skip to the conclusion. And if you do want to get in on this yourselves, but don't have a MetaQuest yet, now is pretty much the best time to do so. Use my links in the description to get a MetaQuest 3 or 3S from now until January 1st and get $60 in Quest Cash for your troubles. The holidays are right around the corner and this system makes a fantastic gift. It even comes pre-packaged with a free copy of Batman Arkham Shadow for your troubles, which that game alone makes it worth every penny. But then you've got other games like this one, Iron Man VR, Beat Saber, Super Hot, and so many more. Your options are practically limitless. And you can get $20 off any of those products, once again using the links below.
Sweet! Someone made a shitty copy of Rez for Virtual Boy and tricked you into buying an expensive headset to play it. There's a sucker born every minute.
Alright, that's my required chilling over with. Now let's get to the actual game review.
Ooh, tell me how to move my joystick, mistress.
I'm watching, Andre. You try to sneak anything weird in there, I'll know, and ask you to double the dose.
I'm gonna keep it relatively simple and lump everything that isn't gameplay or story into this section, because there's a lot to talk about, but not too much to really say about it. And frankly, dedicating entire sections to some of these points isn't really worth it. I am amazed that this game is capable of running on the Quest. There is so much constantly going on, both in terms of gameplay and visuals, and yet the game as a whole still looks amazing. With that trademark cel-shaded comic book-esque style, it's always looking beautiful. You've got explosions and bullets flying everywhere, constant dismemberment of both your opponents and yourself, blood and guts galore. It's always looked exceptional. But I do have to note that during my playthrough, there were a decent number of lag spikes and freezes, and in some cases, even some Wii crashing sounds. You know the ones I'm talking about. I'm very much hoping that this was just because I was recording in very high definition, so it was just labor intensive on the Quest. They ultimately weren't all too common, but when they did show up, they came in waves and really brought down the experience the scene was meant to have. But it's clear they only showed up during really intense scenes that were clearly pushing the limits. And on the plus side, there were a grand total of 0 crashes during my entire playthrough. These problems weren't really super common though, and overall the game ran incredibly smooth, which is crazy when you consider how much crap is constantly being thrown on screen. It's impressive the game runs as well as it does, as often as it does, while loading in some seriously large environments. This game is not small, and I was constantly blown away by what set pieces they were able to pull out each level. And even with some of these visual and auditory glitches, It's not nearly as bad as some of the glitches on day 1 Arkham Shadow. Something that I was not expecting in the slightest was the ridiculous number of cosmetics this game has. Like, holy crap, just look at how many suits they have in this shop. This has got to be more customization options than Arkham and Spider-Man combined. Why did they put so much in here? And that's not even all of them, because every single weapon in the game also has a bunch of cosmetic options. The amount of customization in this game is insane. Even more wild when you remember that it's a VR game. You can't even see your player model half the time beyond the occasional hand cam and foot dive during an attack. And yet, they put this much customization just because they knew gamers would be asking for it. You know me, I couldn't care less for cosmetics, but that doesn't mean I wasn't blown away by how much they put in. I know some of y'all are gonna appreciate it, so go nuts.
Oh, 69, it's a bingo! Hope this is one of those exploding heart techniques I can mod for the testicular regions.
I was hesitant about it at first, but Neil Patrick Harris is genuinely fantastic as Wade Wilson.
Killed by blue balls. I knew that was really a thing.
He gives a much more relaxed, laid-back depiction of the character, compared to the much more bombastic Nolan North and Ryan Reynolds, who were constantly chewing up as much scenery as possible.
You know, it has always been a dream of mine to see my face reflected in your helmet as you charge at me with murderous intent. I don't mean right now.
Why won't you wake up? Wake up! That's because the player keeps mashing the button.
Neil just sounds like one of the homies shooting the shit.
I've got a director's cut of Gone Girl on Blu-ray. Spoiler alert, Neil Patrick Harris gets his throat slit.
Unless the scene required it due to excessive noise, I can't recall any time he seriously raised his voice.
Oh, you calling me hideous? Ha, that's rich. You know, you're no Chris Evans yourself.
It's a very toned-down Deadpool, which sounds like it'd bring the overall experience down, but he more than makes up for it with the comedy.
I'd go so far as to say that all demons look alike, but I don't want to be canceled by the demon community, even though everyone I've met so far is trying very hard to cancel my ass.
His jokes were consistently landing. Even if he pulled a dud or a reference that I didn't get, there was bound to be another that had me bawling within 8 seconds or less.
See, I was mentally and physically prepared to fight Ultron, but I got hornswoggled, and fucking Ultimo just makes me sad.
And seeing as you're going to be hearing his voice in particular more than probably even your own thoughts throughout this experience, it's a good thing that he held back.
The power of Disney compels you. The power of Disney compels you.
The only time I got even a little tired of him was when I failed on a hard level multiple times and kept getting dialogue repeated. Otherwise, they put so much unique dialogue into this game that I was almost never hearing repeated stuff, even on long levels with lots of combat encounters.
I thought we were a team. Taylor and Kelsey, Jost and Che, Elon and the Chinese kids he pays to up his gaming ranks.
And the rest of the voice cast and character design is stellar as well. I don't really want to go into specifics because a lot of them are pretty big spoilers, but shoutouts need to go to the big three keeping Deadpool prisoner. Mojo, played by John Leguizamo.
Ah, shit, you're still alive. Well, there's 1,000 creds I'll never see again.
Major Domo, played by Jeffrey Combs.
The audience is the final arbiter of success in this business, Deadpool. Success and longevity.
And Spiral, played by Julia Jones.
The main stage? You know nothing about this world. If you were on the main stage, as you put it, you would not last 5 breaths.
That's a weird scale.
5 breaths.
Would.
That's a good boy.
There's also the fact that there are only 17 major cast members. This is a tiny game for how many characters we ultimately see. It does leave me wondering who's voicing the random grunts we fight all game, because they just aren't listed in the cast list. Still, everyone does a phenomenal job bringing their characters to life, and the art style perfectly complements their performances.
I don't make the rules, but I do give the people the entertainment they want. And right now, they want a twink packaged in red and black. A gore-soaked killer, but you can get over it because he makes you laugh. Oh, also, I do make the rules.
I think one of the best parts about this game that I know is going to go underappreciated is how the player wanting to do silly things is practically intended by the designers. It's a pretty common theme for VR games, with players to mess around with their hands during cutscenes. I mean, when you're given this much control when you're supposed to be sitting quietly and listening, how could you not? And Deadpool is the perfect character to give that level of control. He, of all characters, is going to be pointlessly emoting during the conversation, waving his hands around, pointing, thumbs up, what have you. So the player having free reign to do that is perfectly within character. And best of all, we finally have a game where we can flip the bird at any time. You have no idea how happy I was when I found this. My smile was infectious. I am a little disappointed that it wasn't a requirement at some point, but you can't have everything, right? The overall presentation of this game, and everything it has aesthetic-wise, is genuinely impressive. For a game that came right the hell out of nowhere with practically no build-up or marketing, they held nothing back by making it look, sound, and play beautifully. And if my only real complaint comes from pushing the system too hard with what you wanted to do, then that's just a criticism of the system, not the game being played on it.
OMG! Mojo! TV producer / psychotic ruler of Mojo World, a society based solely on television programming and good old-fashioned slave labor? Now that is what Robert McKee would call efficient exposition.
If you're expecting anything other than Deadpool running around murdering people like a lunatic for the enjoyment of a Discord mod's Twitch fanfic, then I'm sorry to disappoint you, this is not your game. There's been quite a bit of discourse lately about how the first Deadpool game was a massive character assassination that seriously derailed how the character functions in the public eye. Because, and I quote, he was just too silly. Now, I'm gonna let those of you who think that way in on a little secret. Okay, so listen here. Come on, come in close. Silly sells. The masses have spoken, and they want Deadpool to be a foul-mouthed little pest with guns and swords, making just as many penis jokes as arms he's needed to regrow.
I normally like to wrap my hands around a little head instead of the big one, but
Look, if you want a Deadpool story that does an in-depth look at the broken psychology of a man who can never die, read a fucking comic book, man. Because it is a fact of life that the funny dead man saying chimichangas is gonna make money when he's being unabashedly funny and dead.
oh, glad it's just the crushing hours and low wages of video game artists, and not a ding to my impeccable sense of direction.
This story is stupid and knows it's stupid, so is constantly playing into the joke that it knows the majority of their audience wants to see. The story is absolutely bonkers, and I love everything about it. The gist is that Deadpool has been recruited by Mojo, an interdimensional entertainment guru with the physique of your average American, to recruit talent for him across the multiverse. He's sent out to find the most dangerous fighters in any dimension, defeat them in combat, and force them to compete in Mojo's gladiator-style arena against their will for all the glory. In the process, Deadpool climbs the popularity ranks with a live chat watching his every move, becoming the next big star of Mojo World while just trying to get a paycheck.
Nerds will live vicariously through me. Women will want me, men will want to be me. Or vice versa, or both at the same time with baby oil and chocolate sauce. I can work with that.
It's exactly as stupid as it sounds, but this concept is frankly brilliant for the overall design of the game. It gives a perfectly reasonable explanation for all these different types of levels being merged together, and easily explains why Deadpool is going through with any of this to begin with. At the end of the day, Deadpool is a mercenary, and will do just about any job as long as he gets paid and it doesn't compromise his very thin morals. Mojo is paying Deadpool to hop between dimensions, fight nameless goons that want to kill him, and defeat these otherwise insurmountable opponents that nobody else was going to.
I gave them something new, and another something new that scratches the old make Deadpool great again itch at the same time.
All of these other worlds have some other big plot piece going on that Deadpool just crashes his way into and so rudely interrupts, because he just doesn't care. Again, won't go into specifics, play the game yourself, but seeing these much more serious plots go on in the background while you're just killing folks for the sake of making the big viewer number go bigger is hilarious. But that being said, the story is never really about attaining all that fame. Deadpool couldn't care less about the fame part of fame and fortune. He's only in this for the money. He just wants to do the job, get paid, and go home.
Love the backslapping, but I'd prefer my cash and a portal home.
And seeing as Mojo promised him enough riches that he'd never need to work another day in his life, you'd better believe he was swindled into working for the man. The viewers are just a nice bonus included with the sweet, sweet payday after each mission. And all that to ultimately say, despite all the crass humor that this game relies on, it still gives you a bit of that emotional resonance that only 7 people are seriously yearning for.
Well, look, I said some things, you said some meaner things. It's all water under the bridge, really.
Alert me when you are ready to enter the battle arena.
I'm trying to apologize here.
I neither require nor accept your apology.
There are a few moments that the game slows down and lets Deadpool be kinda serious for a minute. They're incredibly rare and basically only show up during the endgame, but they are indeed there, and don't come out of nowhere either. They're purposefully set up and hinted at throughout the whole game, so when it finally comes out, it's not a total left turn. But it's also still Deadpool, and those serious moments are going to be undercut with some kind of joke. And if you expect otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Your soul is awash with the screams of innocence. Payment is now due to me.
Ooh, tell me a story. Oh yeah, good times.
Ultimately, the story is playing massive second fiddle to the gameplay. It's there to give an outline of why you're running around shooting everything that moves and very little more. And that's all it needs to be. I didn't come to a Deadpool game to play as a butt-ugly, depressed class clown struggling with the ramifications of never being able to die while everyone around him constantly dies. I came here to kick ass, shoot guns, clash swords, and chew bubblegum. And I am nowhere near out of ass or ammo. If you're expecting something deeper, I don't know, man, go play Arkham Shadow, I guess? It's Deadpool VR. You are getting exactly what you paid for.
Probably for the best. With all the extra targets running around, I might be tempted to go all Baldur's Gate 3 and turn down a quote-unquote dark urge path. All right, we have a prize coming to us after we take out all these deadites, so don't let me down, player.
As you've no doubt been seeing through my absolutely masterful gameplay in the background, Deadpool VR is a nonsensical mess of hacking, slashing, shooting, kicking, throwing, and just about every action in between. Does any of it make sense to an untrained viewer? Probably not, but I'll try to explain all of it in a moderately concise way. This game is very fast-paced, and I think it's best compared to the modern Doom games. Deadpool only has one speed. Gotta go fast. He only slows down when the cutscenes tell him to, because otherwise he is bouncing off the walls like a Doom Eternal speedrunner. As you'd expect, you've got the two things Deadpool is known for, katanas and pistols. You can swing these swords to your heart's content and shoot just about as much as you like. Sure, you gotta reload every once in a while, but who said anything about ammo? These alone make up all the tools that you would need to succeed in this game. But then you've also got grenades, available at all times on your wrist. It's a grenade. I don't know why you'd expect it to do anything else but explode. And then, arguably best of all, is the grapple gun.
awesome, just like Boba Fett.
Throughout each level are little blue points that you can use to reach different vantage points, or get out of sticky situations. But it's not just for traversal, as you can also use it to grab enemies and fling them around, or even grab things out of the environment to use in combat yourself. It is the last thing I was expecting Deadpool of all characters to have, but I love it. And most surprising of all, not even tied to a weapon, you can also perform a drop kick, which will instantly get you in close to an enemy, or will take them out with a glorious finisher animation if you've staggered them. These items make up your base moveset that you'll have throughout the whole game. But the things you can do with these weapons alone is insane. Obviously you can hack and slash with the swords, that's nothing new. But you can also cross them together to block incoming attacks. And best of all, you can just say screw it and throw your swords at enemies too. And because Deadpool is Deadpool, they just instantly respawn right back on his back after you throw them. Infinite katanas, why not? In fact, you can throw everything at enemies. Of all the mechanics in this game, the most surprising and yet incredibly useful is the throwing mechanic. Every single weapon in this game, be it a sword, gun, or something in between, can be thrown at enemies. If it's sharp, it sticks. If not, it bounces. Either way dealing damage and allowing you to perform some kind of follow-up to make it easier to defeat them. And defeating enemies will almost always result in them dropping whatever weapon they were holding, which leads into the second most important mechanic of this game: doing what you can with whatever the hell you're given. Deadpool VR rewards you for being crazy and doing the absolute maximum. Seeing as the premise is Deadpool attempting to be a big superstar, the audience is gonna get a little bored if you're just sitting in one place mindlessly shooting your pistols for 5 minutes straight. So you need to put in maximum effort. Grab whatever you can find on the ground and try using it as a weapon, to then grab the next thing dropped by whoever you killed and use it until you run out of ammo. At which point, just say fuck it and chuck the bitch at your enemy, which will then fly back to you fully reloaded, allowing you to continue your carnage uninterrupted. Or if you're dedicated to using your swords, say screw it and just swing them at whatever dropped in front of you to use them as projectiles that'll constantly bounce off enemies right back to you for a beautiful infinite combo of bouncing and slashing. It is pure, beautiful carnage incarnate.
Please, Deadpool and/or Deadpool variant.
Just leave that for NASA. They'll tidy up.
While your sidearms have infinite ammo, the random weapons that you find scattered throughout levels have a limited amount. And once you run out, that's it. You need to grab something else or resort to your own weapons. Unless you decide to, say, pull a super hot and throw your gun at the enemy, which, as I said, will then fly back to you with all of its ammo replenished. The best part is how the guns will just magically fly back towards you and even linger within your vision for long enough for you to notice they're there and grab them to resume blasting. So throughout the whole game, you're thinking about pulling off these super stylish moves, and then the game itself is designed around you pulling them off, even rewards you for doing them by refilling your ammo. And trust me, you're gonna want all the ammo you can get. There are so many different weapons in this game, I genuinely don't think I used them all during my playthrough. You've got shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles, snipers, grenade launchers, crossbows, rocket launchers, whatever the hell this thing is, and a freaking bow and arrow for some reason, and yet it all just somehow works. And your variety in picking up these weapons is rewarded with more money and more followers, which then allows you to buy even more weapons from the shop to vary yourself up even more, getting even more money to then get more loadouts, and it's just a beautiful dopamine cycle. Combat is a never-ending dopamine machine. Every time it looks like I've gotten into a good flow state to optimize my variety and earnings, the game throws something new into the mix to make me go even crazier.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of ass. Wait.
Deadpool VR is loaded with content. There's a grand total of 14 levels, each ranging anywhere from 30 minutes to a full hour. And each one of these levels have a ton of variety to them. Aside from just the level's aesthetics setting them apart, each one has some kind of gimmick that the others don't, or that expands on previous mechanics in really fun ways. On the surface, you're just doing the same thing each level, running, gunning, slicing, etc. But there's at least one small thing setting each one apart and making the experience completely unique. When each level introduces new enemies, that means you need to figure out how to defeat them with the tools you currently have. And then those enemies end up dropping new gear for you to pick up and use for yourself against even more enemies, forcing you to come up with even more unique ways of fighting them. So despite each level technically playing out the same way, a bit of navigation, maybe some puzzles, and then Arena-style combat, it never gets boring because of how you're incentivized to play the game. Especially when you take shop upgrades into account, which alone will vary up how you play between each level. During one you might just have the base loadout, but then in another you'll use, say, shotguns and boomerang swords. And another might be, say, long swords and pocket grenade launchers. You can play however you want in each one of these levels, and replay any of them at any time with a different loadout to see which one you like best. And that's not even talking about the arena levels, when Mojo decides that he needs to make Deadpool a real moneymaker and throws him to the wolves in a series of really varied challenges. The arena levels make up, say, half of the overall levels, but each one provides a trio of different experiences that make them never boring. In one, you'll be playing a deadly rugby game teamed up with Lady Deadpool. In another, you'll be playing Call of Duty gun game against some surprisingly precise robots. And even a 4-way Deadpool deathmatch using elemental grenades. There is never a dull moment in these levels that look like they'd be really dull on the surface.
Gentlemen, can't this wait until after the broadcast?
Ow, I gave you at least 5 gems and you go with the Wizard of Witless Wisecracks? I'm the color guy! Let me bring the fucking color!
And what I found most crazy is that this game has 3 unlockable characters that you get for free as you progress through the story. We've got Lady Deadpool, Golden Age Deadpool, and the Deadpool Kid, aka Girl.
I could stare at these all day, imagining the suffering I'd dispense on someone who made me stare at these all day.
Boomer.
Carl, I'm about to show the Axis leaders and their copter-crazed barbarians that the spirit of Lexington and Concord is still very much alive here in America.
And Cowboy DP.
Probably should have just called the locksmith, but that was a hog killing of a good time.
Each one is ultimately just a palette swap of your base Deadpool, as their swords, grapple, kick, and grenades are exactly the same aside from how they look, with the only real difference being their choice of guns. Lady Deadpool opting for SMGs, Golden Age taking time-appropriate Lugers, and Kid naturally using revolvers. Where these guys really change the game is in their commentary.
I am Carl, and I'm also Ms. Deadpool. Go study up on your anatomy while I get to biz, okay?
Every single level has been redubbed with each of the other 3 Deadpools.
I was given them by an army doc. They, helped to relieve my rectal itching.
But what's so funny is that they only changed Deadpool's lines.
Flying man. Wilhelm Otto Lilienthal's dream of a flying future has become my nightmare.
Everyone else is exactly as they were left during the first run, which just makes it so funny when they try to tie lines together.
Should I go it alone or see if Wedge can help me out?
You're going to toss a salad into it, sir?
Sort of a bummer for me personally, because I'm pretty sure I could kill every tool on this flying salad bar of idiots.
You're going to toss a salad into it, sir?
Carl, do you know where the kitchen is here? I want to make a Delmonico salad.
You're going to toss a salad into it, sir?
I ain't understand a word of that, but I get the gist.
You're going to toss a salad into it, sir?
What? You mean a tater salad? Or?
But the big reason that these characters exist is because each of them has a secret bonus level hidden inside the regular ones. Each Deadpool variant has a door hidden somewhere in the level that only they can open, which leads into a secret level built around their specialties. And these levels are awesome. They're a strange combination of puzzles, combat, and speedrunning all thrown into one, and each Deadpool gets a unique one in each of the main levels, which means 15 brand new levels when you replay with one of the variants. I, quite frankly, did not have nearly enough time to go through every single one of these, and so only was able to collect footage of the helicarrier with each variant. But if these three were anything to go off of, these bonus levels make these extra characters worth it alone. That also means that the completion criteria for this game is out the wazoo. You have to play each level 4 times, making sure you find the secret levels, as well as a number of secret comic book pages scattered throughout, and get a good enough rank on each of the levels to accumulate a high number of followers so that you can get enough money to unlock the crazy amount of cosmetics in the shop. It's a lot to ask for, and something I will absolutely not be recording, because just the base game recording took up over 300 gigabytes of storage. I think I'll be doing that in my off time. But honestly, I won't be minding it all too much. Cause seriously, this game's replayability is just incredible. There is never a dull moment grinding out these levels.
Sir, you are a model of American patriotism. Why, you positively bleed red, white, and blue. Carl, what color would you bleed if I pricked you?
All this praise, there does need to be some criticism, right? Yeah, without question. While the combat is absolutely exceptional, overall traversals, puzzles, and level design feels really lacking after the first 2 levels. It looked like they were setting up some really great things to explore in the future at the beginning, and then there was just nothing along those lines for the rest of the game. The opening has you using your tools in really clever ways, perform difficult parkour, and just overall felt like a more complete package. The latter half of levels feel dedicated to spectacle and combat, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just that they set my expectations really high with what they were setting up, and then just didn't follow through the way I thought they would. I didn't even think to mention it in the gameplay explanation, but did you notice that this game has wall running? And you know how often that mechanic is used in traversal or to create a fun puzzle? 0 times after level 2. Not counting bonus levels, of course. They had a ton of fun mechanics that could have made for really cool level design to give the player more to do than just killing enemies in creative ways. But they just didn't use any of them after the ninja level. So a lot of ideas feel really half-baked and almost unnecessary. Like, remember the grapple gun? You're gonna be using that thing more often as a combo starter than you will for actual traversal. I looked back and found maybe 5 times that it was used outside of a combat arena. And again, most of those were in level 2.
Ha! Suck it, Spidey! Just kidding, we're really crime-fighting besties. Ask anybody but him.
But in the end, these complaints are much more minor than I'm making them out to be. This game isn't about puzzles or platforming or whatever else you can use these mechanics for. You're there to hack, slash, and shoot your way through endless waves of enemies. So that is what the game gives you. If they had changed their priorities and focused on these other things that don't really matter, then I assume that the combat would have been left unattended and wouldn't have ended up as fantastic as it was. So while I am definitely disappointed that we didn't get more, I can at least kind of look past it because of how good everything else is. Plus, a lot of these complaints are addressed in bonus levels, which obviously doesn't make it better, but does still give me that content I was wanting, just in a different place.
and the disappointing click of an empty chamber. Figures.
What the actual hell is this? It's balls. And while I'd like to know why you had a scrotal coin in your pocket, actually, I don't care. Deadpool wins the toss.
Deadpool VR is exactly what I expected it to be. Simultaneously a mindless mess of a game where anything you can do will likely result in your victory, and a deep, intricately balanced system of mechanics coming together to create an absolute blast that never gets boring. I cannot wait to go back and play this game more, but I'm also absolutely terrified of the speedrun prospects it's no doubt going to be asking for. This is just another incredible point on the scoreboard of VR superhero games, and especially a point for meta as a whole. Look, I hate exclusivity as much as the next guy, but the fact of the matter is, exclusivity drives competition. Competition drives creators to start being creative and giving us more and better things. More things means more content means gamers actually being happy. Whether we like it or not, exclusives have always been and are always going to be a part of gaming. And if Meta ends up being the one with all the superhero VR exclusives, I'm sorry, but shut up and take my money. Deadpool VR is another system seller right up there with Batman Arkham Shadow. And while it's definitely not as amazing as that absolute masterpiece, it's just more proof that this system is still in the running for good old-fashioned competition. With all that being said, I give Deadpool VR a solid 9 out of 10. It is definitely not perfect, but with all the content they were somehow able to squeeze into this incredibly well-defined game, I just can't give it anything lower. It is a chaotic, fun-filled laugh riot that I highly recommend everyone pick up. Assuming you don't get motion sick easily.
Thank you. Unrelated, I am dizzy as hell from all the blood spray and the players spinning their head all over the place. What am I supposed to be doing again?
So if you enjoyed this way too detailed breakdown that I did not intend to go as far as it did, please do all of the YouTube stuff, because this game is primed and ready for a whole host of fun challenges. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps.
This is absolute bullshit. I just love being me. Don't you just love playing me?